I'm just doing an audio check. If you can hear me, would you please be kind and put a one in the chat? I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Let's see. I got 6:59 on my end, so we'll get started in one more minute. Okay, so I have 7 o'clock my time here in Louisiana. I want to start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to tune in to tonight's YouTube Live. Uh, I know I missed a couple of dates. It's amazing how when things seem like they're going in a pretty good direction, sometimes the electronics, in this particular case, the board that I use, it just went out. Uh, all I can say is I, I guess that's how electronics work sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I had to order a new one, and that took a little while. Then I had to. I'm not really good at the installing and things of that nature. So that's what happened. That's why I hadn't been on. I think I missed last Thursday, and I want to say this time last week. But I had some electronic malfunctions that had to get situated. So that's what happened. I didn't quit. Please don't think that I gave up. Nope, that's not in me. But I had to tend to that, and uh, I thought we were going to be back running Thursday, but it's some more things, and it's amazing how these adapters, and you got to get this adapter and this adapter. You think that's going to fit and that's going to work, and so we're back running. And I thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedule to once again tune in. Phone lines are open. As you can see on your screen, the number is going to be area code 225-397-6922. That's the number that you can call to call in, ask pretty much any question that you would like to ask. Tonight we're going to be discussing moving on. Uh, Also, there's going to be a new video I should be dropping maybe later on tonight, probably first thing tomorrow morning. Uh, so be aware of that as well. So all of that stuff got thrown out of the way as far as me being able to do videos and do my live YouTube lives due to the electronic malfunctions and things that needed to be replaced. So uh, I'm glad that everything is working correctly. The audio is back up. People can hear me. You can see me. Again, feel free to call in if you like. We're going to be talking about moving on. Moving on from what? Relationships. Not only are we going to be talking about moving on, we're also going to be talking about the timing, when to move on. You know, a lot of times, uh, well, let me preface that by saying I received a few emails that some ladies asked me to talk about this, as far as how long should I hang in there, how many chances should I give a person? You know, should I remain in a situation where, you know, things were not as good as they were in the initial stages, but they're okay. They could be better. So we're gonna talk about moving on, and then when, when to move on. That's very important, because I think a lot of times if we take inventory over our lives, I think we can all agree that we've been in some situations where we should have got out of them much sooner. Sometimes months sooner, sometimes years sooner. But sometimes we just stick in there and hang in there. Well, maybe things will get better, and maybe he or she are straighten up and adhere to some of the things that we've talked about, that we would like to see a change in behavior or a change in whatever. And sometimes we just hang in there, and before you know it, those years have just passed by and they've blown by. And the next thing you know, you've got so much time that has basically been wasted. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Once again, phone lines are open. Thank you so much for the people who are tuned in once again. Thank you for welcoming me back. Let's see. I've been out of the saddle. I forgot how to make the links pop up on the screen. Okay, there we go. Munich says, "Wow, you are back." Yep. Then welcome back, sir. Thank you, Adriana Edwards, for being in here. Chantel Jenkins put a 1 in the chat, audio. And then Bunny said, "Good seeing you back." And at the same time, it's good to be back on this beautiful day that we have set before us. I don't know where a lot of you are logging in from or listening in from, but here in Louisiana right now, man, that heat is coming back. And I don't know if anybody has ever experienced the heat, such as Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. That's a whole different type of heat, especially when you talk about high heat, high temperatures, and high humidity. That is not for everybody. So in Louisiana right now, in the Deep South, we're turning that corner where not only the heat is starting to get higher, the humidity, and that's that sticky. It's almost like you could take a knife and cut the air with the knife. It's so thick and humid. So that's where we are right now. Seems like we're turning that corner. My goodness. June and July, August. That's just a whole nother ball game. So you folks, maybe some of you folks are tuning in from maybe California. Somebody said London in the house. Oh my goodness. I got to put this up. Somebody said London in the house, freezing here, 9 degrees. My goodness. Well, I tell you what, who is this? Devilicious Living. I tell you what, you come over here to the Deep South, the southern parts of the United States. I think you may say that 9 degrees that you're experiencing, you may consider that a blessing. Again, everybody cannot handle that heat and humidity down here. I got a lot of friends that, they may come visit from California, or they may come from, Columbus, Ohio, or whatever, Chicago, New York City. They come down here, it literally just sucks all the energy out of them. They say, how in the hell can you folks live down here with all this high heat? All right, somebody said, Adriana said, it's cold in Gary, Indiana. My goodness. Gary, Indiana, that's home of Michael Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the Jackson 5s are from Gary, correct? If my history is correct. All right, the great one says, wow, you're back. 78 degrees here. She's been asking about you. Yeah, for those of you who just tuned in, I experienced some electronic difficulties where some electronics had to be replaced, and Had to buy some adapters, and this adapter that we thought was going to work, it didn't work. Then we had to send that back and reorder some new adapters, and it was just a bunch of headaches. So as you can see, everything is working. And once again, the phone lines are open. So again, the topic tonight is going to be when to move on. Why do we stay in relationships so long a lot of times when we know it's not fruitful for us, when we know it's not beneficial for us, when we know that this person that we're in the relationship with has shown that either A, they're not interested, B, they're not interested in putting in the work. We all know that a relationship requires work to be successful. So sometimes they're not interested in being putting in the work. Sometimes they're not interested in changing. Sometimes they're not interested in doing the same things that we used to do together. Sometimes people get comfortable in their ways. Sometimes they get bored and just, maybe just want to sit around the house, where maybe the relationship started out where, things were outgoing and everything was fun and everything was spontaneous, and, the sex was spontaneous, and, things of that nature. And now it just seems like it's, the relationship is just like a car in park. The engine is running, but the car is just standing still. It's not going anywhere. So the question is, why do we hang in those things sometimes? Are we hoping that the person will eventually change? Are we hoping that maybe the situation will change? Are we hoping that maybe that light bulb will come on and that person will kind of turn back into that the person that we fell in love with, or that person who we had that deep connection with? Or has it gotten to the point where it's over with? We got to move on, or we should move on, but sometimes, like I said, we hang in there. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of couples right now. They're in their 50s, such as me, and right now they sleep in separate bedrooms. But the reasoning for that, as far as not getting a divorce, is because they have too much assets, or too many assets tied in together. When you start talking about the house, and when you start talking about retirement funds, when you start talking about mutual funds, when you start talking about 401ks and stocks and all of these type of things, some of them are like, look, if I get a divorce, this great big old fine house that we're living in, we're going to go to court. The judge is pretty much going to award somebody the house. A lot of times it's going to be the lady. And the man, may have to leave, find him an apartment. And then you gotta have someone to come in and talk about and split up, as I said, the investments and the retirements. Sometimes couples, the man may work on a job, 30 years. The lady may have worked on her job, 30 years, retirements. So you got to go through all of those headaches. And sometimes, like I said, I got a few friends that, they'll tell you, hey, we sleep in separate bedrooms, separate beds. My wife sleeps in this bedroom, I sleep in this one, and we're just going to make it work. Because divorce means you're splitting up so many assets that people have worked so hard for. And so even though the fire may be extinguished in that relationship, sometimes, they just say, I ain't going nowhere. Well, she does her thing. She sees who she want to see. I see who I want to see. So who is that? Tyrone Brunson, a great artist back in the day named Tyrone Brunson. He made a song. It was called Sticky Situation. And then he says, situation sticky. And so sometimes these things can be some very, very, very sticky situations. So, all right, let's get to the comments. Somebody said, yes, You are right, Jackson. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Somebody said this is such a timely topic. Yes, because again, I think we can all agree that if we're honest with ourselves, well, the majority of us can agree that we've been in some relationships when we know we should have got out of there a long, long, long time ago. A long time ago, we should have bailed out. But for some reasons, we hang in there, we hang in there, we hang in there, we hang in there. I think about my mother a lot, and the crap that she put up with my father in Chicago for all those years, thinking that he would eventually become a family man and stay at home and try and help raise the kids. And the more my mother tried to make him stay home and be a family man, the more he ran the streets in Chicago. So if you ever go through my YouTube playlist, I actually made a video about that. You'll see a thumbnail, the only thumbnail in my video playlist that's in black and white. And the reason why it's in black and white, because that picture is a picture of my mother and my father. And so my mother tried to hang in there thinking he was going to change, And my dad was like, nope, I run the streets. That's what I do. I ain't changing for nobody. You and them kids, y'all could be sleeping under a bridge. And I'm going to be having my fun in Chicago, Illinois. Speaking of Chicago, anybody logged in from Chicago? I still like to go back and visit. I usually go back every July. I'm going back to Chicago just to visit in July. Again, shout out to Chicago, beautiful city. Shout out to LEMS, my goodness. LEMS, people. Let me tell you something. If I've been a lot of places, I have been a lot of places, been fortunate to travel to a lot of places inside the United States, outside the United States. Down here in Louisiana, you got some people who just swear they are the best cooks, in particular the best barbecue people in the world. You go next door to Louisiana, west to Texas. Oh my goodness. You cannot tell those people they are not the best barbecue people in the world. When you talk about the barbecue ribs and the barbecue brisket. Texas, they got some guys who could barbecue that brisket. I got to give it to them. But people, I know you heard about the barbecue in Memphis, St. Louis, New Orleans, different spots. But people, let me just say this real quickly. You ain't had barbecue till you go to a spot in Chicago called LEMS, LEMS. It's on 75th Street. If I'm not mistaken, that's like 75th. I want to say it's Indiana. LEMS, LEMS. I've been going to Chicago a long time. The original LEMS was on 55th and State Street. And the old man Lem, he died, and now his family is still running it. Who is that from Chicago, from Indiana? Adrian Edwards. I don't know if you ever been to LEMS, but I promise you, people, you have not had barbecue until you go to a place called LEMS, LEMS, on the south side of Chicago on 75th Street. It's about maybe 8 blocks east of State Street. LEMS is the real deal. My goodness. So, somebody say, stay away from the south. Well, hey, I respect that. Somebody say, stay away from the south side. No, thank you. Well, I respect that. But anyway, I've been on the south side of Chicago many times. I've never had one negative incident. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying, people, that is for me the best barbecue that I have ever tasted in my whole life. And every time I go to Chicago, I always go to LEMS Barbecue, and get those rib tips. In my opinion, they have absolutely the best barbecue, especially the sauce. All right, so let's get back to the topic. Somebody said I'm originally from the south side of Chicago. Adrian said, "Yep, that's the spot." So so I'm guessing you're familiar with limbs, Adrian. People, I'm telling you. Now, I always tell my good friends down here in Louisiana, I'm like, man, you can't mess with them boys up there in Chicago at Limbs Barbecue. Then the guys in Texas, they think they could cook. Limbs put them to shame. If I'm not mistaken, Limbs, the daddy here, he came from I want to say somewhere in Mississippi, one of those small delta towns, and he eventually, as you know, a lot of blacks move what's known as that Great Migration to the north, and he settled up there. But good cooking. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand. Hanging in there. When do we move on, or why do we stay in a lot of relationships? Is it because that we want acceptance? Or is it because, again, or is it because we think we can't do any better? See, now we're getting somewhere. You would be surprised how many people will say will stay in a relationship knowing that relationship is a dead end relationship, because they're like, I don't know if I could do better. I've been putting up with his BS, or I've been putting up with her BS all these years. I'm just comfortable with it. I'm used to it. I'll just hang in there with him. And why? Because I'm used to it. And then if we break up, that means I got to go back out in that dating field or that dating pool, and I got to start all over again. So some people don't want to start over again. Some people are afraid, because when you look at the dating scene that's out there right now, for a lot of people, it doesn't look too good. But it can be good if, especially for you ladies, if once again you have your vetting process in place. It really can be. It really can be. Somebody said comfort and fear. Somebody said way too invested. Thank you for that comment, Ms. Williams, when she talks about that tip and link combo is fire. Yes, it is. We got a phone call. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, fine. How are you? This is Bunny.
Well, how are you doing, Bunny? Good to hear from you
I'm
again.
thank you. Um, I I want to address what you were talking about as far as sometimes women staying in there in a relationship too long. Uh, I know my situation was how I interpreted what was going on, or how I misinterpreted.
Mm.
Sometimes the way, not necessarily with all women, but sometimes with the way women feel there's certain actions that mean one thing when they mean something else. This is why people like you and others have been so valuable in uh, coaching us on what certain things actually mean.
Yes.
And I've noticed it's not just with persons with whom or males with whom you may have a romantic interest. It can be with your sons, it can be with your fathers, your uncles, and I've just noticed that even though my son and I have a wonderful relationship, when I started implementing certain ways of communication, I got better results simply because of how a responsible man coached me on how men hear things or interpret things or don't interpret. And the same thing with women. Some Sometimes I'm not speaking of all women, but there were many times that I would interpret or misinterpret actions to mean one thing when they were really something else, and you needed a man to tell you what was really going on. And then once I understood that, even though it hurt, I knew I had to back off. So that's just a thought. Hello?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had my mic muted. That's powerful, and I really appreciate you opening up and being honest about that. Is this something that you've learned recently, or you learned this a long time ago, or what?
Some of the things I've been learning recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really think for me it's been the grace of God. Now there are certain things I must admit I misinterpreted
Mm.
what they meant, but
Yes.
there was something deeper on the inside of me for other reasons that said let go.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like
Yes.
if something bad could be going on. I'm not understanding it, but then there's something else deeper that was saying something's not right,
Mm.
and
Yes.
then I would let go, and then in time you would see what it was. As you grow, mature, as you disengage from the relationship, the feelings kind of go down, and then you can start looking at things objectively
Yes.
as to why God literally delivered you out of that. And uh, so for me, and I think that's one reason why, whether it's a man or a woman, why there's that inner voice that we cannot dismiss,
Yes.
because sometimes we might not know the facts, but we know the guidance.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. There's a comment on the screen where someone is asking, "What did you misinterpret?"
One thing that happened was you remember when I was telling you about the professor that I was had a relationship with,
Yes.
and we thought we were going,
Yes.
well, at least
Yes.
I did, to get married and all that.
Yes.
And he had, um, I remember on a Valentine's Day, he said, "Okay, we got to do something for Valentine's." I said, "Okay, wonderful."
Mm-hmm.
And he picked me up, sort of. I won't say he threw flowers at me. He wasn't like angry or anything, but it was just, it felt like, okay, it's Valentine's Day, so I just got to do something. So we'll just do it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing. And then in my mind, because I knew the weight of his responsibilities at the university, was okay, he's just been having a lot going on. He's been on the road a lot, going to, he's a good father, which he was, going to out of town to see his son and all of that. And and the considering the wonderful interactions that we had, the sudden change, I did not I didn't understand, and it was just part of my mentality to say, okay, you're just going through something right now,
Mm.
such and such and such. As I look back, it's like it's clear as day. And
Yes.
so actually his best friend, who thought a lot of me, not romantically, but he just felt that I was just a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he was his best friend, he did not, there was something that he did not like, and he just came out and told me he's dating somebody else,
Mm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can more readily see the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed, well, at first it was just hurt. I still couldn't exactly see the signs, but now as I hear coaches, people like yourself and others, talk about uh, things, I'm much more aware
Excellent.
of what certain things mean. But for me, I had to, some of the information that's particularly coming from men like yourself who really, really care.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a good teachable moment. And so, anyway, that was, I don't know if I answered the person's question efficiently, but that's
Yeah.
how I
So
do at
so
the
so
moment.
so so that relationship is over. Both of you guys have
Oh,
moved
God,
on.
it's been over years. It's been over, oh, God, about over 20 years. So we're talking about a long time ago.
I got you.
Uh, yeah, so, yeah, it's nothing, it's nothing like that recently uh, at all. And also, too, I don't know if you got the, an email. Was I was listening to your video about, I think it was your parents. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
And you were saying, where you lived in Chicago, and my jaw dropped because when my father first went to Northwestern to work on his doctorate, uh, and he was the assistant pastor of a church in Chicago, we lived at 7669 Lane.
Really?
And the church he pastored was on the corner of 76 and Ingleside, down the street from Hirsch High School.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and that was where the associate pastor lived when he first came.
Hmm.
Then 2 years into his studies, the bishop moved him uh, to Ingleside Whitfield Methodist Parish, which that was the one that was on the corner of 76 and Ingleside,
Hmm.
and the parsonage was directly across the street.
Mm.
And so 924 East 76th Street. And so
Wow.
it was like okay, no more coincidences here. So I said, and I even sent pictures. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. You did. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. You did. I
And
appreciate
so
that.
yeah. So, but anyway,
So you live in Chicago now, or what?
no, 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 no. This was when I was a little girl.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got
Yeah, Daddy was a young man. He's gone. He he has since passed away,
you. Mm.
but he was so whole family moved. In Evanston. So we all moved in Chicago. He was encouraged to pursue his doctorate, and so the bishop assigned him a couple of churches during the course of his studies.
Hmm.
So that's why we were in Chicago.
I got you.
He
I
was
got you.
working on his doctorate.
And then
And
and
I
then
was,
you moved to Daytona Beach.
no, we moved back to Atlanta first.
Hmm.
The there is a seminary in Atlanta which is part of the Atlanta University Center.
Hmm.
Um, you have Spelman, Morehouse, Mars Brown, Clark College, and Atlanta University were once separate. It's now Clark Atlanta University, and then you have ITC, the Interdenominational Theological Center. That was for the training of ministers,
Mm.
and so all of those schools comprise the Atlanta University Center. So the founder of ITC, Dr. Harry B. Richardson, currently was a student there before it became ITC, to his doctorate. And so, and and uh, so Northwestern wanted him,
Mm.
and um, so that's what he did. But Dr. Richardson had a plan, by the way, as a Black History historical thing. And I don't want to hold the phone up because I know other people want to call in. But as an historical thing, Dr. Harry B. Richardson was George Washington Carver's pastor, and he eulogized Dr. Carver when he passed away.
Mm.
And this was when he was chaplain.
Mm.
So Dr. Richardson became the founder of ITC. And while Daddy was a student, Daddy did not know this, he wanted my father to succeed him as president. And that's why he encouraged him to get his doctorate and all of that. And so he said, well, I just happen to have a job for you. So he brought Daddy back as director of field education and associate professor of religious education, not knowing that that Dr. Richardson had in mind for Dad to um, succeed him as president of ITC, and he did. And Martin Luther King's father, Daddy King, was on the board that president, and then from there, because of the good job that he did there, Bethune Cookman wanted him. So that's kind of like how it happened
I got you.
that we
I
came
got
to
you.
Daytona.
I
Yeah.
got you.
So, yeah. But anyway, though, getting back to the your question about that, um, sometimes, and I'd love to hear from the other women on how they feel, because everybody interprets things differently.
Yes.
Uh, there's something about getting emotional. A different language comes into play, and you need a man to interpret. It's just like if you speak English and can't speak Spanish, and that person speaks Spanish and can't speak English, you have to have an interpreter. And it's sort of like that when it comes to certain aspects of male and female relationships. It's just like I'll tell you one thing. Like when you were saying how, and I forgot. I don't know if it was R.C. Blake. Somebody was saying, which I that part I understood clearly, that a woman many times will feel like if a man has had sex with her,
Mm.
then he loves her.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you know, and then there are other people women would say, "Oh, I know he loved me because he beat me good tonight." You know, but that's not even part of my mentality at that point. But
That's an
you
excellent
know, you
point.
sort of, so
That's an excellent point.
sometimes you need an interpreter,
Yeah.
and no matter how educated or well thinking or religious or whatever a woman or insightful or wise she may be blind on that end.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And there's
Yes.
just certain things that a PhD won't teach you.
Amen. That is so true. You got
You know.
to learn that through the school of hard knocks. That is so true.
Yeah, and right. I know a lady bishop. I'm talking about. She is awesome,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. You know, and yet she got with this man
Yeah.
who just literally destroyed her. And I'm trying to figure out. I couldn't put the two together.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
How you gonna let him do this? You know. And so my situation coming up was slightly different. I've been told how I dealt with relationships was different, and uh, and a lot of that had to do thanks to my parents and my grandparents teaching me. You know what I mean? But yet there's still certain things that you still need to know.
Mm. True.
Yes, no matter how. So I'm finished. I've talked enough. I
Okay.
don't want to hog the line,
All
but
right.
I am interested in hearing what the other women think about. You know what? Their thoughts and experiences are
Yes.
also.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so
And
much,
that's it.
Bunny, for that phone call. I really appreciate it.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you.
All right. You have a good
All right.
night. All right. Bye bye. All right. That was a very, very, very deep and informative phone call. Bunny brought up a lot of great points, especially towards the end when she talked about uh, the interpretation, how we interpret things. She talked about sometimes we can interpret love the wrong way. One of the examples she used was some women may interpret love as being in physical fights. Oh, we fight all the time, but we love each other, and that's how we do it. Uh, you know, while we're on that subject, I mean, again, let's just be totally honest with each other. Uh, is it sometimes we have expectations of a person, and then if that person does not meet those expectations, even though we realize that person is not meeting those expectations, but we still just hold on to that slight slimmer of hope, just hoping maybe he'll change his mind, maybe he'll do this, or maybe she'll do this, or whatever. And sometimes, as I said earlier, sometimes we're not realizing that those years and years and years and years have passed us by. So again, for those of you who are just tuned in, again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Tonight we're talking about moving on, in particular, when to move on. Again, I think if we all take inventory of some of the relationships that we've been in, I think we can agree that we've been in some relationships when we know that we should have got out of there a whole lot sooner. So what keeps us in those relationships maybe longer? Is it the sex, or is it the finances? Is it because sometimes the man is rolling out the red carpet, financially, he's taking care of all the bills, and the woman feels like, well, he's not showing me the love and attention and affection that I want, but at least he's providing a roof over my head. And right now I'm not financially stable. And that thing works both ways, because in today's world, you have a lot of women who are financially stable, and a lot of men will be like, well, I don't make the amount of money that my girlfriend or my fiance or my wife makes, but even though I'm not getting sex from her as often as I would like, I'm going to hang in there. Why? Because she's bringing in the money. And right now, my finances, my credit score or whatnot, I'm trying to build that up. So things may not be totally stable on the man's side, and he just decides, well, I'm just going to hang in here. I'm not going anywhere. So phone lines are open. Let's see. Somebody said how to dress classy. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. Somebody said, women ain't stupid. Most of us know better, but we try to make it something else. That's a great point. Who's that? Taj, the great one. Again, that just brings me back to so many memories of my mother and father. And like Bunny said earlier, you sometimes relationships, you look at people and you ask yourself, how in the hell did these two even get together in the first place? And if you look at the video I did about my mother and father, I just did not understand that dynamic to save my life. How in the hell did a church-going woman, Christian woman, love God, don't smoke, don't drink, don't go to clubs, go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, from a small town in Louisiana, get hooked up with a whoremongering, street running, game playing, non-committed man in Chicago, Illinois? And I had to learn that story the hard way. And what I mean by the hard way is one thing that me and my sisters, and one thing we knew growing up was if you keep asking mama where daddy at, you're going to get slapped sooner or later. I grew up in a day where old folks, the closest thing that was next to their hand, that's what was coming at your head. So if the closest thing at my mother's hand or the old folks' hand during that time was a shoe, you piss them off, guess what? That shoe is coming at your head or whatever. It could be a skillet. So we understood at an early age, hey, stop asking mama where daddy is at. Why? Because we could see that look of pain. We could see that frustration. We can see that hurt. We could see that bitterness. We could see that anger. And we could also see that hatred. we could see that hatred. So my mother, it took me a long time to understood what happened, because my mother just did not want to talk about it. My mother never discussed that relationship with my father. How did I find out about it? I had to go to Chicago and get his side of the story. And again, if you watch my video, I break it down. But basically, he said, hey, son, look, I was up front with your mama from day one. I'll never forget, he unloaded on me, because we had a heart-to-heart conversation. Let me get to this phone call. Somebody remind me to get back to this story later. Good evening, caller. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, caller? All right. I apologize for that. I saw the area code. It was a 646 number. So I apologize. I think I actually dropped that call. So please feel free to call back. I apologize. Again, the phone number is 225-397-6922. Once again, that's 225-397-6922. So again, we're talking about moving on. When to move on, when to just say, pick up the pieces and just say, you know what, this thing is a total loss. I'm gone, wish the other person the best in life, but I'm moving on, and whatever is out there for me is going to be for me, because I'm going to live the best version of myself. And going back to what we talked about earlier, I'm pretty sure that you may have friends who are stuck in relationships, and you're telling your girlfriend or you're telling your guy friend, man, why are you still hanging in there? And this guy has cheated on you so many times. And why are you still hanging in there when she's turned down your marriage proposal so many times, and she's told you that she's not ready to get married, and you want to get married and have a family, but she says not right now or whatnot. So I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to, if you're not going through that situation, that you have friends or you have relatives or family members, and you see that they're in a dead end relationship, but for some reason they hang in there. Now, this was common. What year are we in? 2022. This was common, 100 years ago, when you're talking about the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s. A lot of times, especially for women, a lot of times the women just hung in there. Like, no, we're not divorcing. Now, I know that I'm talking about the husband. I know, Henry, you got a whole nother family on the other side of town. Or in some cases, Henry may have two outside families. And in a lot of cases, the woman still hung in there. Now, different reasons. Maybe sometimes back then, people took their marriage vows more seriously and just say, you know what, whatever. I took my marriage vows for better or for worse. I'm going to hang in there. Or maybe, as some people have articulated, they didn't split up the family because they wanted their family to be together. Even though old man Henry was doing his thing. Hey, people, nothing new under the sun. Whatever you see going on in 2022, this is nothing new. All we got, what's different? We got technology. We just have different ways of doing things. But these hookups, oh, come on, people, nothing new. People, what R. Kelly is accused of, that was, if you talk to some of your grandparents, great-grandparents or whatnot, if they're still living, that was normal. What R. Kelly is accused of, men marrying basically what we consider girls today. My grandmother was born in 1905. 13 years old, guess what? Married at 13. Guess how old my grandfather was? 24. Now, in today's standards, my grandfather, he'd be under the jail, or he would have been beaten with a baseball bat. But you're talking about 1918, and my grandmother said that was common back then. You know, females the age of 13 and 14 and 15 getting married, having babies. You know, that's why if you do your history, you'll see that the families were so much bigger back then. Wow, you had to work that land, especially if you got family roots down here in the South, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, or what have you. You know, people had some huge families. You know, 9 children, that was considered average. All right, somebody said these things been happening since the Bible. Amen to that. Most women date their, oh, wow, somebody coming hard tonight. Who is that? S. Scott. I wish you would call in, and I know what you're saying, but I would love to hear you expound on it more. Somebody said it's been 3 weeks and it's definitely time to move on. Been very hot and cold and giving mixed messages. And again, I know nothing about being a female. Nothing. But as men, I know what we'll do. And see, a lot of times men see what we're looking for. A lot of times, even though we know that the relationship we're in is going nowhere, see, we still want that spare tire. What do I mean by that spare tire? See, we still want you as that security blanket. Just in case, you know, even though we're stepping outside, we're conversating and we're dealing with other women and we're trying to see if this situation is going to be better than the current situation we're in. It's almost like we're taking job applications. Okay, I'm in this relationship with her. I see it's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to go out here and interview some other women and see if I could get a better deal or a better situation. And if I can get that better deal or that better situation, the relationship I'm currently in, bye. I'm going on. So it is a lot that people are going through today, especially when we talk about reasons why people hang in there. There are just so many reasons. It could be finances. One could love the other. The other one could be like, nah, I really don't love you, but I'll just hang in there with you because right now my options are limited. You know, we talked about finances earlier. Sometimes, you know, some people have built up such a nest egg, especially when you start talking about couples that are in their 40s and 50s, 60s. Now you got property together. Now you got retirement IRAs. You got, you know, the Roth IRAs. You got mutual funds. You got all these stocks. You got 401ks. And some people are like, well, if we go to the judge, you know what the judge is going to do. So some people are like, well, instead of going to the judge, maybe we can work this thing out. Well, how are we going to do this? We'll just remain together. You sleep in the master bedroom, and I'll sleep in that bedroom. You see who you want to see. I'll see who I want to see, but we ain't going nowhere. We ain't divorcing. We'll just hang in there. Well, what are we going to tell our friends? Well, eventually they'll find out. But we're just going to make this thing look good. And I know some of you people who are listening in, you may be in your 20s or 30s, you may be looking like, that doesn't sound right. Okay. You get older, guarantee you're going to have some friends in that same predicament because I got plenty. Wife is not going anywhere. The husband is not going anywhere. No sex going on. Well, I take that back. They may hook up every now and then, but they both have an understanding that, okay, you see who you want, just don't be disrespectful and have it glaring in my face. All these type of arrangements. So I mean, this is a multi-layered thing when we talk about when to leave, are the factors that influence whether we're going to leave or stay. You know, we haven't even gotten to the J word. What's the J word? Jealousy. Jealousy. Man, I'm not leaving you. You know, no, I'm not leaving you. Why? Because I'm jealous. And you're not going to get another man. Why? Because you always going to be mine. And so it's a, you know, as I said earlier, it's a very, 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 again, as Tyrone Brunson said in his song, sticky situation. It's a very sticky situation. Phone lines are open. I got 754 on my end. Somebody said, I probably need more confidence in stop speaking to him. Dating is so hard these days. Yes, dating can be difficult.
Bank, we regret to inform you that your debit card is locked. To reactivate it, please press 1 now.
How did that get in there? All right, so we got a spam caller. All right, so let's see. Somebody said, I probably need more confidence to stop speaking to him. Dating is so hard these days. Let's call out some cities too, especially when we talk about dating. I think dating is very, very, very hard in small towns. And I think dating can be hard in a city such as Atlanta or Houston or Miami or Los Angeles. But it seems like in those cities with such huge populations, you have more dating options. But yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Dating is very, very hard in today's world. Why? Because this is just me. I feel that so many people have reservations because we've been burned in the past. And so everybody is going to look good on paper. Everybody is going to look good on social media. Every relationship is going to start good in the beginning. And I think a lot of times when those relationships start going good, sometimes we may look at that relationship going good and say, oh, shucks, here we go. It's going too good. Sooner or later, the real woman or the real man is going to come out. And so maybe sometimes from a mental standpoint, maybe sometimes we psychologically damage the relationship, or we could be psychologically damaged and don't even realize it. All right. This is Miss Reed. This is my parents for the past 9 years. I don't know if they step out, but they don't sleep in the same room. Looking forward to talking to you in our consultation. Thank you so much, Ms. Reed. And yes, I'm offering consultations. My website is again currently under being developed, but the name of the website is going to be called Serenity Life and Coaching. Could be up tomorrow. Just trying to make sure we got all the dots, I's dotted and the T's crossed before the initial launch. But again, it's going to be called Serenity Life and Coaching. So serenity, peace, tranquility. I think that's a word that we all can agree is very, very, very important in our lives. Having peace. And relationships, especially if that relationship starts to turn south, goes bad, that peace just went clean out the window. And now we got what? Stress. So Ms. Reed talked about that's her parents' situation, 9 years together. But again, people, sometimes you got so when you talk about financial assets, And, sometimes, you come to that conclusion. You sit down with your wife or whoever and say, look, if we get a divorce, you know what's going to happen in that court system. One of us is going to get the raw end of the deal. And in a lot of cases, it's going to be who? The men. A lot of times the judge is going to say, wife get the house, she gets the alimony. Man, you got to pay the alimony. You got to pay the child support. She's going to get half of your retirement. She's going to get half of your 401k. She's going to get half of all your mutual funds. And some men are like, ooh, we stand together. You can see your other men. Don't do it blatantly in front of my face. Don't disrespect me. Whatever you do, I don't want to see it. And then some women got the same attitude. Okay, well, you could do your thing, be with your women or whatnot, but don't parade them in front of me. I don't want to see it. So what's the old saying? Out of sight, out of mind. But again, at 54 years old, I know several of my friends in that exact predicament right there. So, let's see. What else we got in the comments? Phone lines, once again, are open. Let's see. I got exactly 8 o'clock my time, Central Standard Time. If there are no calls, I may just go ahead and end it early. And everybody have a good night. We got 22 in the chat. All right, let's see what Ms. Scott says. It's time to call it quits when the other person makes you feel bad emotionally. There's no point in taking continual abuse. Yes. Very, 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 very good point. Again, let me just say this. People, I will be the first to admit that 4-letter word, love, number one, we can't predict who we're going to fall in love with. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I know I've done some of the most stupidest, craziest things you could imagine. Why? Because that love bug had hit me. And I should have blazed up. I should have got out of there so much earlier and sooner, but that love bug had me just bitten. It was so deep. I'm like, man, I'm going to hang in here with her. So a lot of times people that love, and even though you're getting sound advice from your friends, they telling you, boy, what the hell wrong with you? You see this girl don't want you no more. You see how she treating you. You see the things that she's doing right in front of your face. But sometimes, a lot of times, people don't understand, man. Sometimes that love bug hits you, and that heart and that feelings, all those things are wrapped up. And sometimes you'll get mad at your friends and say, man, get out of my house. Don't tell me nothing about what such and such is doing. I don't want to hear that. That's my girl, whatever. That's my soulmate. I'm going to be with her regardless. So sometimes your friends can try and comfort you or give you some words of advice. But, that's why I always tell people, hey, don't tell me what you will or will not do when that love bug hits you. Don't tell me what you won't do. Don't tell me what you will. Well, I wouldn't do that, please. All I can say is you probably never been in love. Because that thing hits you, man, you do some of the most, you do some things you never thought you would imagine. Oh, man, my goodness. You get in that car sometimes, it feels like you got somebody handcuff you to that steering wheel. And you're driving on that other side of town to see that person, and your mind is telling you, turn that car around, turn it around, go back home. But it just feels like your hands are just handcuffed to that steering wheel. You can't let go of that steering wheel. And you're driving over to that person's house, and it's gonna lead to something that's not good. But we still go. Let me stop. Somebody said that's not love. That's trying to fill a void or working in your inner issues. Somebody said go with the flow. All right. So once again, we're going to, if there are no more phone calls, Ms. Reed made another comment. She said 32 years together, 3 years not sleeping in the bed. Yep. Very, very, very common. Very, very, very common. So many relationships are going the route in which Ms. Reed has described, in which I have described. Somebody said, I want exclusivity. I know that's right. All right, let's see what LC says. At this point, I'm not looking for love. The only people truly love are my children. Yes, yes. Men can switch up on you. Yes, we can. I'll be nice, loving, gentle, and sweet if a man reciprocates that. Yes. I totally understand that. I totally respect that. And I think it's going to happen. That's why, again, I tell you ladies, please have some type of vetting process in place. Please have some type of system in place where you can weed these men out. Please have some type of system in place where a man will look at you, and if he has bad intentions, he'll look at some of the requirements that you have for him to meet, and he'll just say, you know what, I'm going the other way. No, because see, men with bad intentions, what they do is they look for the easiest way to gain access to what they want, whether it be sex, whether it be money, whether it be just a side lady. You'd be surprised how many men out here who are looking for concubines, side women, women who they can just call up on a whim and call you up and hopefully see you and whatnot, and that date or that union or that reunion winds up in a sexual tryst. All right, somebody says, oh, I thought you were a man. That's different then. What kind of men should be weeding out? All right, somebody commented by the name of L. See, she says, I hope it's a she. What type of men should we be weeding out? See, when a man approaches you, he's not going to be wearing a shirt that says player. He's not going to be wearing a shirt that says F boy. He's not going to be wearing a shirt. He's not going to have something on him that identifies himself as a bad person, a person who only is out for sex, a pickup artist, a player, a dog, an a-hole. He's not going to have a shirt that says any of those things. So you can't talk about the type of men. All men are going to approach you and approach you in a style in which he's going to appear to be an angel that fell out of heaven. Men are going to be on their best behavior in the initial stages of dating. That's why I think I'm a firm believer in today's world that we've got it in the definition of dating mixed up or confused. See, we should have a process like we had back in the old days, such as courting. But for some reason, when you bring up that word courting, it's like so many people look at that word and like, oh, hell no, man, you're going back to the 1940s. But courting basically meant that it was required for a male to put his best foot forward to show the lady that he is the best suited male to eventually date her. That's why if you talk to your parents, maybe your grandparents, they had a term back in their day. It was called going what? Steady. Going steady. And so it was the courtship. It was that first, then going steady. In other words, okay. You went through all the criteria that I had. I'm speaking from a female's perspective. You went through all the criteria that the female had set in place. Now she's saying, okay, we can not be exclusive, but you get the opportunity to show why we could be exclusive. Because again, in the courting phase, it was known. I mean, it was expected. It was known that as a man, if you are attracted to this lady, other men are attracted to her as well. So it was basically every man had to put his best foot forward. Every man had to what? Compete. And I'm a firm believer of that in 2022. Ladies, you can, in this day and this time, you can put a man in compete mode. And as I always say, men will compete for you. Well, why aren't they competing for me? Because you don't have a system in place to make them compete. You get a system in place to make men, system in place to make men compete, they will compete. Or we will compete. Always have, always will. But in today's world, 2022 is just a free for all where men are winning. Why are men winning? Because as I always say, the numbers game with this cell phone and the dating apps and the social media sites. And I'm a firm believer that if you understand how men are wired, let me pump the brakes on that. Number one, if you understand your female leverage, how you are naturally, men, we are naturally designed to pursue you. But we're not going to pursue you if you don't have a system in place that has a criteria in place that forces us to pursue you. It's not how it works. Why? Because men, even the good boys, they'll take a lady who's interested in being a F buddy, or a lady who's interested in being friends with benefits. And they'll just have sex with that lady, be her F buddy or friends with benefits until Miss Right comes along in their eye. So when Miss Right comes along, that's when they'll give you that call and say, look, I met the one in my dreams. I'm going to go with her. Now, that thing could get deeper than that. Depends on the man. Some men will be bold, and just say, listen, this is the woman I want to be with. We had our fun. We had our roll in the hay. Now, if you want to keep it going, we can. But I'm going with her. I'm letting you know this. Going with her. So that's why, again, that vetting process has got to be in place. Again, somebody said that question, what is it? What kind of men should be weeding out? Like I said, you can't, there's no sign that's going to be on the man's on the man's chest or his forehead or his face or his arms or forearms or what. There's no sign on him that's going to read, I'm a F-boy, just looking for a good time. See those type of men, they're going to LIE all day long. They're going to tell women exactly what they think a woman wants to hear. See, I can't think of the lady's name, but a few weeks ago, we had a lady that called in, and she was talking about the type of guys she was meeting. I asked her to tell me about her vetting process, and she told me about some of the things that she had in place. And her whole vetting process was based upon communication. What is communication? Talking. Okay, when men lie, guess what? We lie through what? Talking. See, her whole vetting process was based upon Men talking, communication. I know a lot of you ladies are saying, well, I want a man who's going to communicate to you. We will communicate to you through lies. We'll lie to you all day long if we're saying the things that we think you want to hear. So your vetting process has to be much, 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 much more secure than that. You know, it has to be. All right, let me go back to some of these comments. Somebody said, okay. All right, what time we got? 8:14. Any other phone calls? Again, phone lines are open. If anybody want to call in, what we got? We got 24 in the chat. For those of you who came in late, I talked about the couple of live streams, live YouTube lives that I missed. That was due to some electronic malfunctions with equipment that kind of had me scrambling to try and put some things in place. So we finally got it ironed out. So I apologize for that. Looking forward to coming back on Mondays and Wednesday. Again, the topic of tonight's discussion is when to move on. When to move on. When should we leave that relationship? What signs should we look for? Or a lot of times when we see those signs, sometimes we still. All right, somebody says, well, my father and I had a decent relationship and it got extremely bad 2 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that about that relationship with your father. See that daughter and father relationship. That's a very, 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 very strong bond. If things are going the way that it should be, the same way that mother and son bond is very, very, very strong. Very strong. See, that male, that father and son, that could be a strong bond too, but it depends on if that son, especially when that son starts going through puberty around 12, 13, or 14, it depends upon if that son starts bucking the system and trying to test pops. You know, sometimes that father and son thing can turn into World War III. Especially, like I said, when that son goes through puberty, what happens to a male when he starts going through puberty? That T word, testosterone, starts flowing in that young boy's body. And that voice starts to get deeper. Uh-oh. A lot of times that boy may hit 13 or 14 and say, boy, I'm going to test daddy out and see if daddy really about that. And that mother and daughter relationship. That could be a beautiful relationship, but that thing could turn into mother and daughter bumping heads. Same thing with the male. In a lot of instances, when that young girl is going through what? Puberty. And that mama come in there one day and say, look here, heifer, ain't nothing but one woman is going to be in this house. Boy, I done heard that too many times. How have I heard that too many times? I've dated a lot of women with children. Heard that too many times. And as a man, you know, you try and be the peacemaker. Man, let me tell you something. See that mama? You can't talk to her after that. If that daughter challenged that mama, you could, as a man, you know, you're in that relationship with the mama, you say, hey, Deborah, hold up now. You gonna kill the girl, hold up. Nah, you damn right I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna kill that heifer. Who she think? So, hey, I could write 10 books on that. So those can be some beautiful things. But that mother and daughter, that father and son, that young girl and that young boy hit that puberty, Man, that young girl may come in, look at mama and say, Mama, what time you want me in tonight? Girl, you already know. You need to be in this house at 10 o'clock. Young girl go to prom or something, come in the house at 12:30. Open the door. Jeez. Boy, some of you young ladies, if you listening, I will tell you some real gangster stuff that I heard some of the old ladies you used to say back in the 70s and the 80s. It took me a long time as a boy to understand what some of them old ladies would say when some of them young girls disobeyed their rules, especially when they set that curfew and they broke that curfew. But there was some ladies back in the day that tell you, look, I don't know where you just came from, but wherever you came from, and you come to my house after curfew, you got to go right back where you came from. Mama, Mama, you're not going to let me. You heard what I said, didn't you? You have to go right back to wherever you came from. Oh, it was going down back in the day. Then you had some women, and I'm just going to say this statement, and hopefully you can read between the lines, but some of the old school ladies listening, they know exactly what I'm talking about. You had some of them old grandmothers and mamas, boy, they ain't play. The young girl, you break curfew, you trying to ease in through that door, mama already sitting on the couch waiting on you. Mama might open that door. Mama may say, BITCH, where's my money? Now, I'm going to leave that alone. I ain't going no deeper. I'm going to see if somebody old school know what I'm talking about in that chat. I'm going to see if somebody old school, because you had some women to tell you that. You coming into my house these late hours, where's my money? I'm not going to even delve into it about what that meant, but it meant something. So I'm just going to let that hang out there for a few minutes, see if somebody can answer that. If you don't, I'll go ahead and break it down. Hey, a lot of things have changed. All right, well, that's a great quote, great comment. Somebody said, Taj the Great One says people need to get counseling. Great. L said, yeah, that's how my brother and dad were at it. It got, you damn right it get bad. Yeah. Man, that, like I said, that young boy, he go through puberty. That testosterone sounds, man, I'm going to check Pops, man, next time he asks me about cutting that grass. I'm going to see what Pops about. And so for just for purposes, I don't want to get a strike on my YouTube account or whatnot, but, old school men, oh, trust me, we know how to handle that. And that's a topic I'm going to take some notes and make sure that I write it down for future discussion, because I really think we need to have this conversation, especially for men who are dating women who have kids. Ladies, let me tell you something. There are a lot of men out there that do not mind dating women with kids. Now, I'm one of them. The only criteria I have is, especially if I'm dating a woman with boys, will you trust me enough or a man to discipline your son? See, that's a very, 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 very touchy subject, because as I stated earlier, I know that relationship between mother and son, that is a bond that is so strong. And sometimes, mama, those mothers like, nope, you are not going to discipline my son because he does not need discipline. And so I got a few more topics to talk about in the future weeks, but that's going to be a topic that I'm going to do a YouTube live on again. So again, men, I can't speak for all men, but again, a lot of men, we don't care if you have kids. No, like I said, for myself, no big deal. But you have to understand, ladies, we may be living in a different time, but men, we still are men underneath this skeleton, this body. We still are men. And one of our number one tenets, one of our number one rules is if you have decided to let us in your life and have a relationship with you and you have kids, once again, nothing wrong with that, you got to give us domain to run the house. Well, no, nobody's going to discipline my angels. My angels. See, mama, you may be looking at your kids as angels, and I'm not saying they're not. But see, men, as I said earlier, see, we got an antenna, and boy, we could pick up on things so quick. And mama, you may be saying to yourself, oh, that's just harmless, that's innocent. But as men, we know, boy, if we don't check this, if we don't check it at level 1, it's going to go to level 2. If we don't check it at level 2, it's going to go to level 3. And so as men, we know if we don't check that behavior, sooner or later, we're going to be at level 20, 25, 30. And see, once it gets that high, guess what? It's over with. What do I mean by it's over with? You might as well sign the house over to that young man, the son, the stepson, to us. Why? Because his testicles are so big now. And he's like, well, you ain't never checked me at this level. It's too late. So you can try and chastise him, but man, that's too late. Because, man, that hormone called testosterone, ooh, that's a powerful hormone. And when you're dealing with a boy 14, 15 years old, it is flowing through him like the Mississippi River. And so, again, that's a subject I would love to talk on more, because I've gotten some emails from women who talk about their single mothers, and what can they do as a single mother to help in a relationship status, their relationships or dating or whatnot. Now, of course, that doesn't mean any Tom, Dick, and Harry man, you should give him rights just walking clean off the street to be able to be head over the household. But if and when you find that right man and you have children and he's not the father, can you relinquish that power to him and say, you know what? I'm going to trust your judgment with my children. I'm going to tell you something. Them kids are smart. Them kids can figure out real quick who pulling the strings, mama or steppa. Because they understand, okay, if mama pulling the strings, that man is not going to do anything to me because mama's not going to let him do anything to me. So I can just cut up, be a miscreant, do what I want. He tells me to do something. You ain't my daddy. Get out of my face. So, I don't know how we got on that subject, but anyway, it's a very, very, very touchy subject. As I said, that mother and son and that father and daughter. But that mother and daughter, depending on how that baby girl play it, if she thinks she too grown too quick, a lot of mothers out there will crack them across the head with a skillet. Same thing with these young boys. Some of these young boys think that they're ready to be men and challenge pops. Yeah, a lot of pops out there ain't having it. All right. So love this comment. Ms. Reed say, pay rent. You don't pay in this house or obey my rules. Yeah, I feel you on that. Somebody said, yep, them women can't do nothing with them young boys. And again, it's a touchy subject. But again, ladies, especially ladies who have children, a lot of men do not mind you having children. No big deal. But I think what offends a lot of men is when you don't trust us enough to where you will allow us to have total dominion over the house and the discipline that comes with running the house. Because see, men, you don't have to tell us how to run a house, or we're going to run that house, or we're going to run it. A real man, a real soldier, well, we're running that house. And anything get out of line, you subject to get checked to make sure, we don't have any future disturbances based upon that same principle or whatnot. Now, we could have some other disturbances that come along, but they'll be different from that one because we already got understanding about who runs the show. All right. Women need the right men around. I could not agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Again, phone lines are open, 225-397-6922. We talked about tonight the relationships, when to give it up. Why do we hang in relationships sometimes when they seem to be not working, where they seem to be not going anywhere? Why sometimes do we still hang in there? Even though all the signs are telling us to pack our stuff? Is it because we genuinely feel that person may change? Or could we be that much in love with that person where our feelings are so deep, even though we see all the signs of adultery and cheating and things of that nature, we just ignore those things and continue to go along like everything is fine? What dynamic plays a role in that? I would really like to get some feedback from some people. Let's see. Kiara Chantel said, yes, I would love to allow my husband to discipline my son to a degree. Okay. We definitely have to be on one account on every level when it comes to my children, when it comes to physical discipline. Nah, I got that. All right. I'm just going to give you a little pushback, Miss Chantel, on that. See, men. It's like 95% for us. It won't do. Why? Because that 5% that we're lacking, that 5% still makes us feel less than a man. See, men, it's very important for you ladies to understand. Men, we want to feel like a man at all, A-L-L, at all times, not sometimes, not the majority of the times. See, we want to feel like a man all the time. And so when you say that you got, we can come to a agreement on some degree, to me, what you're saying is, okay, we can come to an agreement on some things, and then some things, I got this. I'm going to handle this. But see, I can't speak for you, Chantel. But all I'm doing is speaking from my experience in dating women who had kids. See, kids are so smart. You can't fool these kids. They know, even though kids may not know when my mother and my stepfather had this conversation about discipline, all they know is daddy never disciplines me, and everything is still the same with mama. So the kid knows that mama pulls some strings to keep this thing going the way it's going. They're not stupid. Long way from that. So these kids are so smart. They've already picked up on it, that there's a reason why this man has never checked me. There's a reason why this man has never spanked me, even though I've done some things that warrant a spanking. They've already picked up on that. Okay, I did something. I broke one of the rules or the house rules, and the man of the house, my mother's boyfriend, whoever, my stepfather, if they're married, he didn't check me on this. Why didn't he check me on this? You know what? I think it's because mother laid down the ground rules to him. These here, discipline, spanking, that's off limit. And so they can pick up on that real quick. So as a man, it's hard for a man to feel like he's the man of the house when he knows that that there are kids that will not abide by his rules or the guidelines that he has in place. That's a very, very hard pill for a man to swallow if the mother and father or stepfather are not on the same page. So trust me, I've heard everything in the book coming from women who had children that I was in a relationship. Those my babies. Those my angels. Nobody's going to touch my angels. I've heard it all. Let me get to this phone call. Hold on. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening. This is Coach Patty. How you doing?
Hello, Coach. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I was listening into your discussion, and I said, I've been experiencing some things with coaching. I said, I think I'd like to add some insight, and
yeah, please,
if you'd allow. Yeah. So I was listening how you all are talking about, with the relationships, and how do you know whether you stay, you go, or what you should do. And I keep hearing a little bit of that tonight. And some of the things I see, I notice with coaching is one thing I often say is you cannot compromise yourself. But at the same time, you have to be willing to ask yourself a few questions, because, no one's perfect. And in the relationship, you're doing things together.
Yes.
So perhaps one of the things you could say is, well, what is it that I'm willing to compromise on that's not a deal breaker?
Great.
Now, everybody has their own things that they're willing to work on. And since no one is perfect, what are you willing to work on, or what are you willing to tolerate as an imperfection in your partner?
Wow.
It's got to be something.
Yes.
Aside from, we're not talking about being mistreated, of course,
mm-hmm.
but knowing that no one is perfect and everybody's on their journey, supposedly, hopefully, in a healing way in a relationship on their own, what are you willing to deal with that's not so great? And, why some people may think, well, I want my man to be this way, or I want my woman to be this way. But control is just an illusion. What will be, will be. Yes. Right? And so I've often asked clients that question, and it's something you really have to think about, because I think sometimes we see people just looking for something. And it's like, well, is what you're looking for, does it even exist?
Mm-hmm.
And so, although we know you can't compromise on yourself, you have to be willing to ask yourself those hard questions.
That's true.
And so it's kind of what I was thinking about sharing with you.
You,
So I don't know your perspective on that.
you have time for a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah. I was for some reason I got on the subject talking about men and dating women who have kids, and a lot of times as men, we don't mind if a woman has kids, but one of the things that that we take seriously is can that woman trust us enough to say, okay, I know this man has the best interest of the entire family, and relinquish the authority to that man to discipline her kids, even though they are not his kids. What's your take on that?
So yeah, that's a good thing, because, and I often say this may step on some toes, and I talk about femininity a lot, and resting in your femininity, and what I mean by that is, you know, you give your man what he needs at the same time that he knows what to give you. And so you both are fulfilling one another, but it's for, especially in marriage, it's supposedly for a lifetime. And so knowing that he wants to kind of share that dynamic and making sure that he's appreciated, making sure that he is providing that insight, or actually has, and I'm using the term control loosely, but I say that in the sense of it's coming from that he wants to do. And so allowing for that adjustment, just to allow one another to share who you are. He's sharing who he is and what he wants to provide. But you're doing the same thing. You got to realize you're both on the same team. So what's best for the team?
Yeah.
So there's no challenge. I see often a lot, there's this tug of war. And if you're both on the same team, and if you come from a perspective, which you just said, he just wants to help, he just wants to provide, he wants to do everything for the goodness of the family, well, what would be the challenge in that?
Yeah.
What would be the challenge in the discipline if you look at it from that perspective? Right?
Yes. Excellent.
And so, I see a lot of time, with dating, and I'm not a relationship coach. I'm not any of that. I do life coaching, and sometimes we just, for some reason, our discussions kind of lead to things that surround, I guess, dating and just human relationships. And one of the things I say is, when you link yourself with someone, that means everything. Because if you, this may sound kind of harsh, but if you link yourself with someone who's not serious, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get an unserious relationship. And so knowing when to break up, or knowing when to open or close a door, it's okay. You just have to recognize when those times are. And so, I had a client says, well, I don't have the capacity to take on broken men. I said, well, that goes back to that question. What do you see as broken? And what do you see as, if you're joining yourself with a partner for life, what are you willing to compromise on? I don't know if people really think about it this way. There has to be an adjustment on both sides.
Wow. Your business must be booming, because you give some great advice.
Well, I find it's pretty interesting, how I say it's life coaching, and it's my purpose and it's my passion, but somehow it always just comes back to relationships.
Yes.
For some reason.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's because as people, we learn from one another, and we're all looking for someone to share life with on some level. Right?
True.
But I say like with love, love is about being committed to the same commitment. Right?
True.
And at a certain level of growth, are you both
are you both willing to be committed to that same commitment and that certain same level of growth? Because you got to recognize that the person standing in front of you is not the one that's meant to be there.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just a shift in the thinking, that's all, and it's just perspective. And I don't know if people ask themselves these hard questions. These are not easy questions.
No.
But you have to ask yourself.
No, they definitely are not. As I stated earlier, I always think about the situation with my mother and father and how toxic that relationship was. And, my mother was a church-going girl coming out of Louisiana who basically had no idea of how to spot players and dogs and the wrong type of men. And that's exactly what she ran across with my father. And when she finally did leave him, he had messed her up so bad. Number one, my mother did not want to talk about that relationship, and number two, I've never saw, and me and my siblings, we all agree, we've never witnessed our mother talk to another man. Not saying she didn't. She may have, she may have snuck off and did her thing or whatnot. But if she did, she was smooth with it, because we never saw our mother date a guy, phone calls, anything like that. And we believe it's because she was so damaged and so hurt by that relationship with our father, because she really thought that the lies, the things, the dream that he sold her was actually reality, but it actually turned into a nightmare.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's when a lot of the healing has to happen, and we've got to, and that means confronting and taking accountability for the decisions that we make. And so sometimes I ask, my clients bring it up. I said, well, if you put an unserious man in a serious position, well, what result do you think you're going to get?
Ooh, say that again. Hold up. Now I got to steal that one. Hold up. Wait a minute. You wait a minute. Please say that again. Say that one more time.
If you put an unserious man in a serious position, what do you think you're going to get out of it?
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to get?
Yeah.
And the same can be said for people. When you put people who are not serious in serious positions, this is very dangerous, and it could lead to a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know what, Coach? That resonates again so much with me, because again I'm 54, but I just remember so many times as a kid the fights that my parents had. My daddy. One thing I can remember is that he would get paid on Friday. He would come home. He would take a bath. He would go in the kitchen. He would pick a fight with my mother. They fighting like cats and dogs. And then he goes hits the streets in Chicago. And so when he left that Friday night, you may see him Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. But I'll never forget this, Coach. And I appreciate the insight that you're giving. As a man, I realized that I was so toxic and I was so full of poison with that relationship and him not being in my life. I realized that I had to forgive him. I'll never forget summer of 1988, I went to Chicago and I looked him up, and I was a man then. I was 20 years old, and we had a sit down, heart to heart conversation. I just unloaded on him. I told him I felt that he was a coward. I felt that he was less than a man. I just let all of my feelings out, because I had to cleanse myself. And I'll never forget, he was on the other end of the table. He was just looking at me. And when I finished telling him all the things that I felt, when I talked about, we could have been sleeping under the bridge. You didn't care about us. You never called us on holidays. You never came to visit us. See, when I unloaded all of that, I'll never forget what my pop said. He asked me, am I finished?
Mm.
I said, yeah. And he said, I'll never forget, he said this. You know what he said? He said, it's my turn now. And boy, when he said it's my turn now, that man unloaded some stuff on me. Number one, he said, boy, let me tell you something. He said, boy, I told your mother, my mother's name was Marvis. He said, boy, I told your mother Marvis in the beginning, I'm a street nigga. He said, I told your mama this off in the very beginning. I'm a street nigga. I don't commit. I'm not the family type of man. Now, we could have fun. We could have a roll in the hay. We can do the do. But I'm not the family type of man. And so when my mother got pregnant with the 3 children that she cared for him, he told me about the fights. He said, boy, let me tell you something. He said, see them fights you talking about, you remember as a baby, as a young boy? He said, let me tell you what them fights was about. He said, them fights was about me coming home and me hitting the streets, but your mother wanted me to stay home and be the family man with you, with the kids. And the fights was about, hey, woman, I told you, I'm not a family man. That's not what I do. And so when my daddy unloaded all those things and told me how it really went down, I knew right then, I knew he was telling the truth. Because everything fell into place. Everything fell into place. I mean, it all the pieces of the puzzle lined up when he told me exactly how it went down. I told your mama from day one, I'm a street nigga. I run the streets. I don't commit. That's not me. I don't do the family thing. I don't do the picnics. I don't sit home and read books to children. And my mother was trying to get him to do those things. And he was like, woman, didn't I tell you from the start? That's not what I do. So you signed on to this. I'm gone. I'm hitting the streets. I'm going to see my other women in Chicago. And so it all made sense after that. And it all lines up to, that's why I asked you to say that phrase you said about, I think you said serious, when you put an unserious person. What was that phrase you said?
When you put an unserious man, what are we talking about, man? If you put an unserious man in a serious position, well, what do you think the outcome is going to be?
That resonates exactly what my daddy said. He said, I told your mama.
Right.
This is what I do. I'm not the type that's going to commit. And so so all that pain and anguish and anxiety I saw on her face, it all added up because he told the side of the story and it all made sense.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing. You know, it's interesting because sometimes, you know, first of all, it sounds like a lot of pain behind that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no excuse. So you can't determine. The thing about behaviors is, you know, people, and your dad, I imagine, you know, people can only love you to the extent of their personal pain and issues, right? And, you know, and then when people are when there's pain, there's fears, and there's doubt, and it gets in the way of their ability to love, you can't determine what's going to happen. You know, the onus is on you now. You can't determine what's going to happen. You can't control what's going to happen, but you can believe what the response has been by actions and behaviors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so I imagine, you know, maybe the arguments were even so he could go let me pick a fight so I can go do what I want to do. So I don't have to be here.
That's right.
You know, that's another popular thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence sometimes. It's purposeful.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I encourage, like, the journey of self-healing. And notice I didn't say perfection. That's impossible. But that still goes back to that question I was asking before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, working with one another's imperfections and what are you willing to work on, you know. And you have to operate eventually in your life from a place of abundance.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And you just, I don't. There has to be a plan with how you see how
how you see your life, what you want to do with your life, who you want to connect yourself to. And once you realize this, it's like, your mind, the way you rationalize, the way you reason, your perceptions in life, it all becomes clear. But a lot of it has to do with self-love and accountability, and your path in life. And that's why I always encourage, people to, figure out what your purpose is.
Yes.
Right? Figure out what your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing in life. I work in the field of education, and I've been in it for some time now. But I have other things like this, with the coaching, and I feel like it's something that I enjoy, and it's something I give insight to a lot of people, but it's the work that I know I'm meant to be doing, so yeah, I don't have all the answers, but I have some thought processes, of course, and I know I may think a little differently than others, but
yes,
I just appreciate you allowing me to share.
Yes,
on your channel.
Yeah. See, you brought up the word therapeutic. I mean, this is very therapeutic for me as well.
Wow.
Because again, I'll be the first to admit, even though I went to Chicago back in 1988, and if I gave my father of all those things, I'll be the first to admit I'm still scarred. Because I'm still scarred because a lot of times I think about the fights. Sometimes those fights, that physical abuse, are just popping my mind, and it's not an easy situation. So with me being able to have this platform and be able to talk about some of those things, it's very therapeutic for me. And that's one of the reasons why I started this, because especially for the ladies, I don't want to see any lady go through what I saw my mother go through. Because she was very, very, very bitter when it came to men and relationships after that. Very bitter. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like with relationships, so the thing about the self-healing, we have to understand we can't heal anybody. But when you get into a relationship, it's almost like it's kind of like you're healing one another while you're in the healing process.
True.
And this is why when you link up with someone and you decide to join your life alongside one another, you have to. It has to really become evident of what you want to get out of life, where you see yourself going with this person. Life's going to give you what you demand, and then because I know before we talked about having your morals, your values, and your standards. And you get out of life what you put into it.
True.
And your mistakes, you have to, because we've all made mistakes. But how about you make your mistakes become lessons so that it's like you're not living in vain. You can learn from these things.
Yes, that's very true.
Right. And no one's perfect. And and I hope people, when they think about marriage and relationship, it's not like this pretty. It is a great thing, but it's not a perfect thing. And so yeah, there's some hard questions. You got to ask yourself some hard questions with this. So.
Yeah. Make sure you give everybody your contact information as well, because.
Yes. Yeah, I can say it out loud, and then I'll also put it in the chat.
Please do. Okay,
yeah. So I'm Coach Patty. My email is info Patty, Patty, McLaren, MCCLAIREN @gmail. And feel free to email. I do life coaching, purpose coaching, and just a healthy mindset and kind of how to navigate through life.
Yes.
Sometimes this is not really. It's not. I don't see it. I don't know why this mindset work is not really taught a lot or even shared.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a healing and understanding what you can become and who you can become in life.
Great point.
Yeah. So, and I'll put it in the chat. But it was great talking to you, and I'll give callers another chance to call. I
Yes,
won't take up
thank
too
you so
much
much.
more of your time.
And please put that information in the chat.
Okay, I will.
All right,
You
Coach,
have a good evening.
Well, you have a great night. Thank you for calling in.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was Coach Patty calling in from California. So, as always, Coach Patty comes in with great wisdom, great advice. You know, one thing I like about her is she's very, 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 very candid and upfront. And again, these are the conversations that we need to be having. Why? Because mental health is very important, especially in today's world when we talk about COVID and we talk about recessions, and some people are losing their jobs. Some people are going through divorce. Some people have loved ones who they've lost, died from COVID and things of that nature, and people are trying to pick up the pieces. And we have so much financial problems going on and things of that nature. So mental health is very, very, very important in today's world. And then you compound that with a jacked up relationship. Wait a minute. My money's funny. Family acting up. My boss on the job seems like a devil from hell. I got coworkers on my job, seem like they're devils from hell. They're plotting up on me, things of that nature. Food prices going through the roof, gas prices going through the roof. And on top of that, I'm in a jacked up relationship. Oh my goodness. Now, in some instances, we could be talking about being this close from going to jail because we could do something that we regret, or we could be this close from going to the crazy house. So mental health is very important. Let's get to the chats real quickly. Lady Ray posted a great comment. She said, femininity is so powerful. Yes, it is, Lady Ray. It is so powerful. She said she went shopping yesterday, dresses in heels, and the security guard walked me to my Uber and carried my bags. All-star service. LOL. I bet he did carry those bags. So let's analyze Lady Ray's first sentence. She said, femininity is so powerful. Yes, it is, ladies. And the more you tap into it, the more positive attention from men you are going to receive. It is like a magnet. When we see your femininity, when we see your soft side, when we see your gentle side. And again, those are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about on YouTube Live, some of the upcoming ones, in particular, women. So many women, even though you're feminine, but so many women in today's world using that vulgar language. Oh my goodness, the profanity and some of the things, some of the vulgar language that's coming out of some of you ladies' mouths. A lot of times, ladies, that just ruins the whole thing. We want you soft, and we want the things that come out of your mouth to be clean. Now, if you curse and you use vulgar terms, hey, nothing. I mean, that's you. Nobody can tell you how to talk. But when you're around men, we can't control what you say, but you'd be surprised what some men are thinking when you start using that vulgarity in some of those words. So those are just upcoming things that I think we're adult enough to talk about, and we lay all these things out on the table, talk about those things. Let's get to some more comments. Somebody said in 2022, most dudes would masquerade as good men. I think it's more than most dudes. I think it's 90%, and we need to discern their true intentions. Okay, that's a great point by 78 days. So how do we discern their intentions? You got to have a vetting process in place, and conversation is not going to get it. So all you ladies that's talking about, I want a man who's going to be honest and upfront with me, and we talk about these things. Men will lie. Yes, they will. We will lie real quick. Tell you whatever we think you want to hear. Somebody said, I'm going to start dodging his calls. I don't understand that one. All right, Lady Ray. Well, Lady Ray bringing the fire tonight. She said, my dad was abusive to my mom, but I only saw it one time, and it blew up my world. I then saw my dad through a different lens. Yes, I definitely can relate to that. 78 days says dodging his calls, blocking him. Somebody said, who is this? Taj. The great one says there's too many broken people. Fix you. All right, we got some good comments. Somebody, Lady Ray said, don't dodge. Let him know very sweetly that you aren't interested. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree with that, Lady Ray, wholeheartedly. Because one thing about men, you dodge us, guess what? We're going to pursue harder. You may think you're dodging us, but we actually pursue harder when you're out of sight and we don't see you anymore. We pursue, and that goes back to what I tell you, ladies. It's a thing that's called compete mode. When a man is in compete mode, now, even though you may not be interested in him, I'm talking about, do you have a system in place for a man that you are interested in to put him in compete mode? Because once we're in compete mode, you go back and look at that video when I talked about that dog named Homer, and all Homer needs is that scent of that escaped inmate. And once Homer gets that scent, that's all a man needs. That's why you don't have to go overboard. You don't have to give a man your phone number. You don't have to respond to his text. You don't have to respond to his voicemails. Give him just a little bit of your scent. And it all starts with that one word, maybe. When he approaches you, we're on the trail. You just put us in compete mode. When he asks for your phone number, can I have your phone number, Lady Ray? Maybe. Oh, that's all we need, just that maybe. Because now we're in compete mode. Maybe means I got to do something. Put these men to work, ladies. Before I close this show out, if you haven't put a man to work for you, in my estimation, you haven't done nothing. That's just me. Now, I'm not saying I'm the guru, but I know men. I know how we operate. We operate best, B-E-S-T, when we are competing for your time and your attention. What does that mean? You saying play hard to get? You damn right. You damn right I'm saying you play hard to get, and watch how we play it. The harder you, the more you play hard to get with your vetting process, and then you training us through that whole process of how you want us to treat you, the more we're going to pursue you. See, you got to train a man how you want him to treat you. Not verbally, you just got to have steps in place. And I guarantee you he's going to respond. But if you don't have those steps in place, guess what? We love that. Why? Because that means we're in control. We're steering the ship. We're driving the car. We're driving the bus. Oh, we love when we drive the bus. All we tell you to do is buckle up with that seatbelt on, because we're getting ready to hit that accelerator, 100 miles an hour. Nope. Well, don't you see that sign that says 55 miles an hour speed limit? Yeah, we see it. But we don't care about that. 100. 150. Don't you see that sign that says 25 miles an hour, we're in a school zone? We don't care. See, when we start driving that car, we don't understand going slow. See, I'm dropping a video. Hopefully, it'll be ready tonight, for sure tomorrow, where a lady emailed me and she talked about a man that she met. And she says she's very attracted to the man, and they've been dating, and everything has been going great on the dates, all that good stuff. Now, out of the blue, this man popped the question and said, I want to take you out of town for the weekend to a very nice city, and we spend the weekend together. And she asked me, what is my advice on that? That's my advice, and I expound on the video. So it should either come out either later on tonight, hopefully it'll be done, or tomorrow. So, ladies, you got to put men to work. We will pursue you. Please, 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 please always remember that. Yes, we will pursue you. Well, why aren't men not pursuing women in today's world? Because you're not demanding it. You don't have a system in place to put us in pursuit mode. You're giving us everything we want. We walk up to you. We talk to you. You're attracted to us. You give us your phone number. Thank you. Thank you. Because now you just got added with the rest of the women who we're already conversating with. So let me stop because it's getting late in the game. Two people tried to call in. Somebody tried to call in from a 201 area code, and then the other one was a 757. I'm still up if you'd like to talk. You want to call in and go back to the chat. Somebody said, I tried that initially. A week later, I was contacted again. Okay, so these are some of the chats. I'm lost in the chat. Great discussion tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for the great comments. Thank you for the great discussion. Thank you for the great calls. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties I had that caused me to miss the last two YouTube lives. But everything seems to be in place now, so we're going to roll with this. All right, this is Coach Patty. Coach Patty says, in my experience, most men are turned off by, oh, yes, indeed. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Coach Patty. See, I don't know where it came from, but I'm just seeing so many women use this vulgar, profane language. You know, I'm looking at women calling some of your best friend the B words and H words, and I know sometimes you're saying that in a joking manner, but do you ever stop and think what men are thinking when we hear you say that? And I know you're saying, who cares about you old men? And no, it ain't. It's not about the old men. Trust me. The young men in their 20s and 30s, they're saying the exact same thing. See, when a man is looking for a mate, a wife or whatnot, to take home the mother, let me get this phone call. Good evening, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. What is your
Hi.
name and where are you calling from?
My name is Kai, and I'm calling from Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey. Ah,
Yeah.
great, great. Have we spoken before?
No. This is
Okay,
my
all
first
right,
time calling in.
all right. Excellent, excellent. What you got tonight?
Um, it's a lot that I've been learning. I actually been looking at your YouTube. I've heard it the last month. I found it, and I guess I wanted to say this. It's good to hear a man speak, give advice the way you do. I didn't have that growing up with my dad or my granddad.
Mm,
They always used to just be like, I don't want to be vulgar, but it's like they always used to have mistrust with a lot of men. They used to always say things that would make me have a lot of mistrust in men. Um, it's like, have your own money. I bet you if you have an apartment, the sucker's going to want to stay with you. Things of that sort. So I always tried to be the woman that like didn't fall for someone like that, or I always wanted to make sure that I had my own. That's what they advocated for me as well, and I'm realizing that yes, that advice was helpful, but then also it kind of did the opposite as well because it led to a lot of mistrust with men. And I'm learning to just like be I surrender because I don't know everything, and I surrender just to just even just taking advice and just hearing things, and I don't know it all. And even just some of the advice that you just give, is so many of the mistakes I've made, thinking I was doing something right, and then it just totally turned left.
mm,
So I just want I really just appreciate just hearing you,
thank you.
and your honesty, because it is rough, it is hard,
Yes.
especially because not having my dad or my granddad really put me on to game like that. They think that I should know things because I'm at a certain age, and I'm just like, that's not really how it goes. You have to learn things through experience. And I guess in my honest opinion, like I'm kind of tired of losing this game, and I'm at a point where it's like I'm not here to just give up, but I want to make sure that like I'm taking the right steps for me. So it's just listening to your commentary really has just been a help. It's actually it hurt. It's a little hurtful
Yeah.
that you got to do the things that you feel like is going to push that person away, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm learning to have those things click with me more and more. Um, and I'm 30, so it's like I'm not like I just really start learning these things at 30. 29, 30, and I'm like, dang, if I would have known all these things at a younger age, what would have been so different, So just keep up the good work. I really appreciate it so much. It's just like hearing you. It's like, dang, I wish my grandpa, my dad was like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Keeping it honest and keeping it real and not sugarcoating it.
That's right.
Because I don't like to be sugarcoated. And like you said, like it was just something you just brought up about a woman dating a guy, and he invited her out for the weekend, and that happened to me
Ah,
recently. And here I am, like, oh, that's so nice. And then you know what? Then I fell into the trap. So
yeah.
not a trap, but I went along with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think it made a difference, but I can't say if it did.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really helpful that you're just really just speaking and just giving advice like this, because honestly, a lot of us do need it. A lot of us really do need it. You need it from someone that's not going to try to get nothing out of you from it.
Exactly.
Especially what's going on with a lot of people on YouTube and the rhetoric as a black woman, and just
Yeah.
hearing like how people speak about us
Yeah.
is sometimes very discouraging.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you,
Very,
Kai, for those very kind and encouraging words. I really appreciate that, and I really need to hear that as well, because when I get that type of feedback, it just encourages me to continue and to do more. So thank
correct.
you for that, because it lets me know that some of the things that I'm saying are resonating with people, and
Right.
as you stated earlier, I'm not a pervert. I'm not a dirty old man. I'm not trying to get with nobody.
Right.
But it's just I feel that, as I stated earlier, as elders, we should be giving back the knowledge and the things that we've learned through the School of Hard Knocks to others, so they may not repeat those same mistakes. And men, especially in 2022, with social media and the dating sites and the cell phones and there are just so many different ways in which men can meet women in today's world, is producing an environment where men, it's almost second nature for a man to lie right now. Because if he admits the truth and tells you exactly, yeah, I know I met you, I do like you, but right now I'm conversating with 15 other women. See, it's almost creating an environment where it's second nature for a man to lie.
Right.
And not be upfront with you and not be honest with you and tell you that, okay, I'm on this dating site, I'm on this dating site, I'm on this dating site. I DM females on this social media platform. I DM females on this social media platform. I DM females on this social media platform. I go out to whatever city that I live in and I go to the mall. I try and get women's phone numbers. I go to Starbucks. I go to the movies. I go to different places. And I'm trying to meet women pretty much wherever I go. See, it's just, as I said earlier, it's creating an environment for men to just lie and not be totally honest and upfront about what's going on in their lives. And if you're attracted to a man, first of all, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're attracted to a man that has no problem lying to you and being deceitful and being a con artist and being a lion in sheep clothing, there are so many men out there, especially in their 20s and 30s. It's almost like, damn, how do I survive
Right.
in this dating world? That's why I tell you young ladies all the time, or ladies in general, you better have some type of vetting process in place that's going to weed these bad men out. Because if you don't, these men are just going to talk and say the things that they think you want to hear. It's going to sound so good. It's going to sound so beautiful. You're going to think you're on fantasy island. You're going to think everything. You're going to think this is the man of your dreams. You're going to think that, heaven just opened up the windows and he dropped out the perfect man that's perfectly suited for you. And then it's all going to turn into bitter dirt once his true colors are revealed. So that's why I try and get women to understand that their femininity, their female leverage, and how these things are so important.
Correct.
Because that could change a man. I'm telling you. Are there some F-boys out there? Let me tell you something about an F-boy. Let me tell you something about a player. Let me tell you about the dogs. And I promise you, they are looking for Miss Right too. But they'll just take anything that's walking, anything that has a vagina, and willing to give that vagina up, or money or food or resources or whatever they can get. They'll just use that up all day long. But I promise you, deep down inside, they are looking for love too. Why is that? Because we all are wired for that. Now, a lot of those guys have some real deep wounds. They've been hurt so bad. You can tell by some of the stuff that they say, they're overcompensating. And so when you got all these so-called experts and their rhetoric, the things that they are saying, the language that they're using to overcompensate, I could spot it a mile away. Son, you've been hurt. You've been hurt and you have not been able to deal with that hurt. Otherwise, you would not be referring to women in the vulgar terms that you refer to them, because you got a mother, you got a grandmother, you got a great grandmother, or whatnot. There's a good chance you have sisters. So there are a lot of men who have so much hurt that's buried in deep beneath them, but again, they try and overcompensate and hide that hurt and pain, and they come up with these channels where they're just using all this vulgar language. They're making things seem like it's doom and gloom. You know what I'm saying. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a lot of hurt. I see it on the faces of a lot of hurt young men, because some of the things that they're saying that's coming out of their mouths, no, you're trying to masquerade and put a Band-Aid over that hurt, but you really need stitches. And not only do you need stitches, you need time to heal. So I'm looking at, there's a lot of men out there encouraging men to not even date women anymore.
Right.
Who in the hell hurt you that bad? If they are so encouraging other men, what's that term? I think it's called men going their own way.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Please, let me tell you, ladies, from a man's perspective. Even if a man says that he's not interested in dating women, and he comes up with all this negative adjectives to describe women, and he's not, women play too many games, and I'm doing this, and let me tell you something. See, that's a bunch of talk, because when he goes home and he lays in that bed, guess what? Nature is calling him and say, boy, you in this empty bed all by yourself. I wish I had a woman in this bed just to cuddle with, just to hold, just to have pillow talk with. Ladies, you better stop going for some of this garbage that's being spewed out here. And some of you are letting this garbage affect you. That's just talk. He's still human at the end of the day. Once he gets off that microphone or that television station or that platform, whatever he has, and when he gets off that platform, guess what? He's still a man. He still has an erection. His penis gets hard. So what the hell Lord, let me stop.
No.
So he still desires a woman. Because why? Nature, we're designed that way. We're designed for a man. A man needs a woman needs a man. And I'm hearing all this conflict, this side, that side, battling like Cain and Abel.
Right.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And
crazy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say, I did at one point let it affect me, because I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Pertaining to my dating life. So I'm not gonna lie, I did a lot. It did affect me in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Made me angry. However, I have been limiting the content that I see or what may pop up on YouTube. I have been having self-control with that, because I realized well, you know the information, so what are you going to do now? You're going to be sad and have sorrow about it?
Yeah.
Or you want to try to bring the best that you could bring each day? So, I've decided that for myself, because I didn't know which way I was going. And these videos was on there, and I was just hearing things, and it was like, wow, it probably did affect my self-esteem a little, because it was just some of the things that they were just saying about women and just Black women and what we look like. They're all generalizing us, and it's just wait, that's not cool, that's not fair, but that's life. And I had to learn to turn it off, and be more settled and all right, well, it's okay if you make a mistake, it's okay, but you just gotta make sure you learn from it. So I've been doing that, even just with learning about femininity.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't really know much about femininity. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a mom who was raising kids by herself all the time. So you see that strong will that she had. She never really had a man in the house to help her. Mm-hmm. So me seeing that was I don't want this. I've been saying that since I was younger. I don't want this. I just didn't know how to not get that.
So now I'm learning and taking heed to what some men and women are saying about femininity. And like I had it in me. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So to even to even go more in depth about it and just really just understanding what it is it has been quite refreshing.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know how to utilize it.
Wow.
And yeah, and I know it sounds crazy because I'm like, I'm 30, I should have known these things,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm here now and I know them. So
There you
you
go.
know, it's just yeah, so just thank you so much for
Yeah. Yeah.
just being
Yeah.
a pillar of just helping, women and men. Like, it's crazy out here. I just didn't think it was gonna be this crazy. But like you said, I'm not naive. I'm trying to not be naive. It's hard to be like, you know what? Let me like this vetting process that you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really vetted a man properly, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. And this is all new to me as a woman. And it may sound embarrassing, but I'm going to speak my truth and
Yeah.
say I didn't know.
Yeah.
And now that hearing you speak about it, and then you said your book, I was like, okay, this is something that I want to invest in because I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the dark no more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And Kai, once again, thank you for calling in. And the last just piece of wisdom that I want to give you is don't beat yourself up for mistakes that you may have made in the past. See, the past is the past. And if everybody is honest with themselves or ourselves, we've all made mistakes. We've all made mistakes in the past. This is how you acquire wisdom. One of the best ways of acquiring wisdom is making mistakes. And you learn from those mistakes. So,
right.
Don't please, whatever you do, don't beat yourself up about some of the things that may have happened in the past. Hey, let the past be the past. Put some dirt on it, bury that. You start today and you build on from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the call.
Thank you. No problem. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yes, people, we got to forgive ourselves. I want to say that the artist, I think that was Harold McRae, made a song when he says, everybody plays the fool sometimes. And then he says, no exception to the rules. So if you've never been somebody's fool in your life, all I can tell you is keep living. That's just life. Nothing wrong with that. Because that just means you didn't know. That's all it is. But this is how we learn. And making mistakes is one of the best ways in which we can learn. People can talk to you. I know when I was younger, man, those old folks talked to me till I was blue in the face. And I looked at them old folks like, man, you sit your old behind down. What the hell y'all know about love and dating and relationship? This is something new we got going on in the 70s and the 80s. Sit down. And I went out there and made those mistakes. I said, ooh, them old folks was right. Well, let me stop. All right. Somebody sent a super chat. Thank you so much, Destiny Jones, for that $4.99 super chat. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for that, Destiny, once again. People, I know we live in some tight times. I know for some people, we're predicted to be going into a recession, or we could already be in it. So, I appreciate any amount that you give, and I thank you once again, Destiny, for the super chat. Hopefully, some of the things that I've been saying has resonated to some of you tonight. All right, I got 9:32 on my end. I may take one more call. Again, the video hopefully is still loading. It'll be ready tonight. Some of you may watch it tomorrow or whenever you get time, but my new video is about responding to an email. A lady emailed me and talked about a man that she met, and talked about how great the relationship is going so far. And now the guy asked her to go to spend the weekend together. Those two spend the weekend together in another city. A weekend getaway. Uh-oh. Boy, let me tell you something. There's some men out there, boy. Well, I don't want to give the video away. So just make sure you watch the video when you get time. All right. So it's 9:32, 9:33 my time. Again, thank you so much, everybody who's tuned in. Once again, I apologize for being late. I apologize for the past two YouTube lives that were that I did not complete. Some people emailed me and asked me what was going on. No, I'm still in it. But again, due to some electronic malfunctions with equipment, I had to order some more equipment and then adapters and cables to make this work and that work. It was just it was a learning experience. So everything is up and running. So we're back on schedule for Mondays and Thursdays. I can also produce more videos now. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Again, I'm dropping the video hopefully within the next hour or so. Make sure you tune in for that. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for, again, taking time out of your busy schedule. We got 27 in the room. I'm going to end it. Everybody have a good night, and I will see you on Thursday. Have a good one.